Last video, I got spooned my third piece of the Soulreaper Axe.
No way!
With one piece left to get, my plan was to make this video about killing the Leviathan. And then, this happened. Yep, I got ludicrously spooned at all 4 DT2 bosses. Getting this at 139 KC was the longest grind I had to do. I decided to quickly check over what the odds were for me to get all 4 axe pieces as quickly as I did. It was 55 KC for Duke, 128 KC for Vardorvis, 97 for the Whisper, and 139 for the Leviathan. Only about 1 in 3,000 players will get an axe as lucky as I did. Pretty nice. With the axe completed, I decided that I would do a different grind for this video. Instead of a video on the Leviathan, I decided to find out just how good this axe is at the 2 melee DT2 bosses, Duke and Vardorvis. Is the Soulreaper Axe worth grinding for on Ironman accounts? Or is it worth paying the currently high price tag for mains? Today, we're gonna find out. The Soulreaper Axe is a pretty new weapon, so I'm sure some of you are wondering exactly how the axe works. So here's a quick rundown. When attacking with the Soulreaper, you accumulate soul stacks. Each stack deals 8 damage to the player, and you can hold a total of 5 soul stacks at once, which means 40 self-damage. In exchange for each stack, it gives you a 6% damage increase. Once you have 5 stacks, you stop taking damage when you attack. If you don't attack for 10 ticks, however, which is roughly 6 seconds, you lose a stack, but you don't get that HP back. When you use the spec, it consumes all of your soul stacks and heals you 8 HP for each, essentially giving you that 40 HP back. As such, using the Soulreaper Axe is something of a juggling act, knowing when to consume your stacks and swap weapons to spec since your other spec bar continues to recharge while you use the axe. Now, you have to keep in mind, I'm an Ironman, so I don't have the perfect optimal setup for this video. I don't have Torva, I don't have a Bellador ring, or the Ultor ring, which makes a pretty big difference for a weapon like the Soulreaper Axe since it's multiplying your strength bonus. With my gear setup of Bandos and a Berserker ring, my max hit would be a 72 at 5 stats, which is still great, but it's not the maximum output. I decided I'd get myself to 500 KC on both Duke and Vardorvis to test this bad boy out. So just how does the axe feel to use? Unfortunately, the first words that come to my mind aren't "it's amazing" or "it's great." If I had to use one word, it would be clunky. Vardorvis is a good example of why. At the end of the fight, Vardorvis takes about 15 seconds to respawn. In OSRS terms, that's pretty fast. But in that time, you're gonna lose 2 soul stacks, meaning that you're gonna be taking 16 damage to start every kill, otherwise you have to restart getting your soul stacks. You have the option to use your stacks at the end of every kill, but then you're starting from 0 stacks at the beginning of the next kill. That's an extra 10 seconds, which does add up. And it's not quick, it's 18 seconds every time you start at 0 stacks to get to the 5 full stacks. On top of that, dealing 40 damage to yourself just to get to the 5 stacks is a lot of damage. Especially at a boss like Vardorvis and Duke where there is ample chip damage, this puts yourself in constant danger of dying from just one mistake. It makes it so that you basically need to use a Blood Fury to effectively use the Soulreaper Axe, as that's at least going to provide some passive healing. You may be wondering, why is passive healing important? Well, given the speed that the stacks decay at, a simple double eat means that you're guaranteed to lose at least 1 soul stack and then take another 8 damage again on your next attack. Having now used the axe for several hundred kills at both bosses, I really think that there should be some adjustments to how the stacks work. Either have them last longer than 6 seconds, or if you lose them passively, get that 8 HP back. Between the self-damage forcing you to camp low HP and the incentive to not eat, it did end up getting me killed quite a bit. Of course, these deaths are also avoidable if you play perfectly, but I also know that in general, I don't want to be sweating at my keyboard for hours at a time while I'm grinding these bosses, which is probably why I really like Duke of the new 4 DT2 bosses. I'm sorry, did I just die with HP left? There is one other problem with the axe, though this is perhaps more of an issue with how defense works in RuneScape, and that's its accuracy. The axe can end up feeling really inconsistent, especially if you do not hit any defense reducing specs. Some kills are an absolute breeze as the axe just completely dominates and max rolls every hit. I mean, look at this Duke kill right here. It completely dominates the Duke as if it was just some trash Slider mob. Now, part of that is because I hit a BGS spec, but it feels like it's just as likely to fall flat on its face as it is to dominate. Other kills are strings of zeros over and over and over again, as you wait seemingly endlessly for the next big hit. While this doesn't change the average time that you're going to have between these kills, I do kind of prefer the consistency that the Fang provides. It may not get you that super fast kill, but you'll also never have that super long kill either. Is this a joke? Is this really happening? Am I living in a simulation? Jagex, hello? Is someone listening? Someone making fun of me right now? As I started to examine my own thoughts about the axe, it kind of felt like I was being unfair to it. If you had told me just a few years ago that I'd be hitting 70s with the auto attack of a weapon and I wouldn't be satisfied, I'd be like, what are you talking about? And then I had a realization. I think part of my underwhelming response to the Soulreaper Axe is the existence of the Ursine Chain Mace. I've just been so desensitized to hitting huge numbers. I still remember first starting RuneScape back 20 years ago and being excited to hit double digits, and here I am lamenting a weapon that hits 70s. That uniqueness is, well, less unique when I'm already used to a weapon that not only hits 70s, it does it on a 4-tick cycle, and it doesn't have the same insane self-damage or uptime requirements. The Ursine Chain Mace has totally broken my internal gauge of what makes a strong weapon. Now, to be clear, the Soulreaper Axe is a pretty good weapon still. It represents the best at Vardorvis, and it's pretty darn close to the scythe at the Duke. But at the same time, it only ends up being a few percent better than the Fang. And the Fang feels better to use given the lack of restrictions and the lack of zeros. I just can't help but feel disappointed with the state of the axe at the end of the day. When I use it, I can feel just how close it is to being a great weapon. I just hope the J-mods can see the potential in the mechanics that they've added with the axe and tweak it to become the weapon it deserves to be. They don't need to make it deal more damage, they simply need to make it a little less frustrating to maintain the uptime of that damage. Just a small change to how the soul stacks work, and I think it'll be in a great spot, especially considering the difficulty it currently represents to acquire. Now, for those of you that have stuck through all of that, I figure I should give you at least a crumb of the Vardorvis and Duke grinds that I did. Honestly, there wasn't that much to get excited about during either grind. The unique table has avoided me quite well throughout the Soulreaper KC, though I shouldn't really be saying anything given how lucky I was to finish the axe when I did. And there's 200 KC. Oh yeah. Not a bad haul for 4 kills. Well, shit, I missed kill 300. Well, that's 301, boys. Let's go. Oh, it's so sad not getting perfect on that. Oh, feels bad. For those of you that don't know, perfect kills give you 50% extra standard loot. So it's really disappointing when you hit the dragon table and don't have a perfect kill. However, when you do... Oh yeah, perfect kill too. That's what we like to see. And of course, the Awakener orbs. After hours of grinding, I finally hit 500 KC. All in all, I could feel the potential of the axe at Vardorvis. Maybe not worth the grind compared to just using a Fang, and probably not worth its current price tag, but it's a good weapon. It was now time to test it out at Duke. I did get to hear the unique drop jingle, just not for what I was looking for. But what I was looking for was this. Ooh. Well, that's all right, but what about a little bit better? And that is KC 400. Now that is some fat loot for KC 450. Jagex, you goofy goobers. And there it is, KC 500. I did it. 500 KC at Duke, 250 of which was with the Soulreaper Axe, so I feel comfortable saying that I actually kind of like it at the Duke. The fact that you essentially have to use your spec to get your 40 HP back makes it feel not as bad that you're losing the HP in the first place. So overall, I really like the weapon at Duke. I still hope that they adjust some of the soul stack changes that I mentioned previously, but for now, I'll continue using my Soulreaper Axe. Partially because I love the Duke pet. I need Baron in my life. For now though, I'm slowly approaching the drop rate for the ring pieces. I'm still figuring out the next part of the plan and what I want to do and what rings I want to focus on. I'll probably get the Magus ring first, and given the strength of the Bellator ring, that might be the next one I go for after. I also want to just test out the Soulreaper Axe in some other spots around RuneScape. If anyone has any use case recommendations for me, I'd love to hear where you'd like to see me try the axe out. Leave a comment down below and I'll try the axe out at those spots and I can report back to you guys. For now, it's back to these DT2 bosses for me. I hope everyone watching these videos are doing well. Good luck on your grinds and happy scaping.